The following program, Live and Learn, is made possible by Aging Partners. Find out more on their website at agingpartners@lincoln.ne.gov.
I'm Tom White, and today we'll be discussing holiday shopping from home with Jennifer White.
I'm Harlan Johnson, and I dressed appropriately because we're going to go out to the OK Corral with Calamity Kate and talk about her book, The Calamities of Calamity Kate.
Please join me for my conversation with Stuart Kolnick and Nicole Schaefer as we talk about the return to vinyl.
Hi, I'm Lita Powell Drake, and this is a 1915 golf club. And there's a guy who plays with this. His name is Dave McNair, and he is amazing. So, stay tuned for Live and Learn.
This and more on today's Live and Learn.
Welcome to Live and Learn. The holidays are such a special time of year, and all of us at Live and Learn wanted to bring you a special episode of memories and nostalgia and just some good old-fashioned joy this holiday season. So grab something warm to drink and join us. The first thing I want to share with you is some images from Christmases past here in Lincoln. This is the Grant family, and we believe this was taken at a department store or their living room. It's hard to tell, but this was a beautiful Christmas card from the 50s. Our next image, I'm not sure if this little girl is excited about going to Gold's to see Santa Claus, but that's what she was doing on this day. Must have been a cold day with that big warm furry hat. This picture is from Youngtown at Gateway, and those of us from Lincoln remember shopping at Youngtown and the beautiful window that was mechanized, and they would have all kinds of elves and a beautiful spinning display during the Christmas season. This picture is special to me, and if you're lucky, you can pick me out of that crowd. This was a number of us children preparing for a Sunday school Christmas program, and I believe those hats were made of tissue paper. But what sweet memories we have of those special times together. And this is my friend Tim at Pershing Elementary School in a Christmas program. I think he was the front half of that reindeer, and none of us can remember who the back half was, but it's still a fun memory. And I hope that you, as you're preparing for this Christmas season, have many fond memories as well. One of the things I brought to share with you today is a box from Miller and Payne, when they used to gift wrap in fuzzy, flocked boxes. Although this one is shedding a bit, it's still a special treat. And this is a beautiful toy that has a little surprise. It actually dumps its load and a nice old wooden toy or a metal toy. And then, of course, who doesn't love a pile of beautiful, beautiful blocks? And children today still enjoy these special treats. I have another treat for you today. I'm going to be sharing with you The Night Before Christmas, and I hope you'll enjoy hearing this wonderful old story. 'Twas the night before Christmas when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads. And Mama in her kerchief and I in my cap had just settled down for a long winter's nap, when out on the lawn there arose such a clatter, I sprang from my bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters and threw up the sash. The moon on the breast of the new-fallen snow gave a luster of midday to objects below. When what to my wondering eyes should appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer, with a little old driver so lively and quick, I knew in a moment it must be St. Nick. More rapid than eagles his coursers they came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name. Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donder and Blitzen. To the top of the porch, to the top of the wall, now dash away, dash away, dash away all. As dry leaves that before the wild hurricane fly, when they meet with an obstacle mount to the sky, so up to the housetop the coursers they flew, with a sleigh full of toys and St. Nicholas too. And then in a twinkling I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof. As I drew in my head and was turning around, Down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound. He was dressed all in fur from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. A bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opening his pack. His eyes, how they twinkled, his dimples, how merry. His cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and the beard on his chin was as white as the snow. The stump of a pipe he held tight in his teeth, and the smoke, it encircled his head like a wreath. He had a broad face and a round little belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of jelly. He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him in spite of myself. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work, and filled all the stockings, then turned with a jerk, and laying his finger aside of his nose, and giving a nod, up the chimney he rose. He sprang to the sleigh, to his team gave a whistle, and away they all flew like the down of a thistle. But I heard him exclaim, ere he drove out of sight, "Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night." I hope you'll enjoy this episode of Live and Learn as we reflect on Christmases past.
What does Medicare cover? How can I afford to keep living in my home? When I need help with house and yard work, who can I turn to? Why am I so tired? Am I eating right? Should I exercise? Where can I go for answers to my questions about aging?
Aging Partners is the place to call when you have questions on aging. Our experts are here to help you with unbiased answers for you or your loved ones. Aging Partners, we're only a phone call away.
The Capital City woodcarvers share the holiday spirit. They've carved several wooden pieces, and we're celebrating this very special time of the year. Chuck Bills, former president of the Capital City Carvers, and he's got a way with his hands. And they have made all of these things which are going to be on display right here in Lincoln at 10th and O Street at Aging Partners. So during the whole month, you get to look at their wonderful work. Chuck, I know you people put a lot of time into this, but it's time well spent with a great deal of love, I know that.
Yeah.
Congratulations on this.
Well, we have here a sampling of the club's carvings. The main theme, of course, is Christmas, but there are a couple here that don't have to do with Christmas because there'll be some other carvings in there. But I'll kind of go through and kind of describe each one of these. This piece is called a mantelpiece. It's done in the intaglio style, where you carve into the wood, and it's obviously a Santa Claus. We have here a whole ring of Santa's elves that were done. I think there's 9 of them.
Here, I'll remove our Salvation Army lady.
And of course, here's Santa, and he's done what we call in the round, which means he's 3-dimensional, as are the dwarfs. We have some ornaments here, 3 ornaments, 2 Santa Claus ornaments, which are hollowed out to make them lighter, and one that is a little puppy dog in a sock. This could be Santa's workshop. That wasn't the intent when it was carved, but it is a little shop and has lots of stones on it, which are carved, not just glued on. These are also little mantelpieces that are meant to be gifts for people. The big carvings in the back here are the intaglio style again, intaglio being carving into the wood, and you can see the theme is pretty obvious there. Over by you, the non-Christmas theme ones, that is a lioness head that was carved, and next to it is a piece of bark carving. It's laying down, it's pretty hard to see. That's done in black cottonwood bark.
You Capital City Carvers have been doing this for how many years?
Oh, I think the club's pretty close to 50 years old now.
And you have women carvers also.
About half the members are women carvers.
That's
Absolutely.
terrific, terrific. And you get together on Tuesday nights, Wednesday nights at Robin Mickle Junior High School?
Mickle Middle School. Wednesday nights are our regular carving sessions where somebody that wants to learn how to carve can show up, and we'll get them started, by the way. And then the first Tuesday of each month is our monthly meeting, where we display carvings and discuss the business of the club.
Well, if you've ever been interested in carving, this may be the opportunity for you to learn, male or female. They meet regularly. They love their work. You can tell by the beautiful work that they've done. And if you're interested in learning more about the Capital City Carvers, you can go to the website. They're listed on the web at www.capitalcitycarvers.org. And don't forget, if you're in downtown Lincoln, 10th and O Street, Aging Partners, look at the beautiful window display, and most of it will be for the holiday season,
Absolutely.
right?
Yep.
Chuck Bills, delightful to see you, and
Pleasure to be
happy
here.
holidays to you.
Same to you, Leda. Thank you.
We'll be right back on Live and Learn. It's never too late to learn to carve.
Hi, I'm Tom White, and my guest today is Jennifer White, cyber shopper extraordinaire. She also happens to be my wife, and Jennifer has far too much experience with holiday shopping online on the computer. Welcome to Live and Learn, Mrs. White.
Thank you, Mr. White.
How are you? So, first of all, why would people want to do their holiday shopping online?
Well, there are a lot of reasons. Primarily convenience. You don't have to deal with crowds, which are prevalent in the stores this time of year. You don't have to worry about finding parking. So it's a much more convenient experience than going to the malls. Second, particularly when we have ice and snow, safety. There are safety concerns when you're driving in the ice or walking through parking lots or carrying heavy packages. Shopping online at home minimizes the chance of slipping and falling on the ice. Selection is another big reason. When you shop in a store, you may have a limited selection. They may not have the color of the item that you're looking for example, or the size that you need. But when you shop online, you have a much bigger selection of items to choose from. Another really nice feature of online shopping is being able to price comparison shop. So when you're shopping in a traditional store, you don't know if the price that you're getting is the best price available. And the only way really to do that price comparison is to wander from shop to shop to shop. Online, you can do it very quickly. There are price comparison sites, or you can just track yourself by going to the different sites that you shop at and make sure that you're getting the best price for the item that you're purchasing.
And I would think that depending on the item that you're purchasing, the number of sites would vary pretty widely.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. But there are a couple of sites that you can use, like pricegrabber.com or bizrate.com, to do a quick price comparison on a number of different items and have it all in one place and know where you're going to get the best deal.
Oh, nice.
And then finally, shipping is a lot easier. If you're shipping holiday gifts to people who don't live here in the local area, by purchasing those gifts online, you can have them gift wrapped and then shipped directly to the recipient, and you don't have to deal with going to take care of that shipping on your own.
Oh, nice. So are there other benefits also that?
Absolutely, and these benefits go beyond just the holidays. Many times you can get discounts for shopping online. Some credit cards offer discounts if you go through their site. For instance, discover.com, if you have a Discover card, you can do shopping and get a significant percentage discount on your items. There are also shopping sites that offer rebates to the shoppers. So if you click through their sites, two of the most common or most familiar are ebates.com and shopathome.com. But a lot of those online rebate sites will allow you to, they'll send you a check back at the end of the month or the quarter if you do your shopping through their site.
Nice.
You can also search for online coupon codes. So with any shop that you're looking for, you just type in the name of that store and then promo code in your search engine. And you can sometimes get 10%, 20% off. You can sometimes get free shipping. So there are a lot of benefits to that online shopping. One of the other benefits that I love is many online retailers will contribute to your favorite charity. So you can make a difference in the world and do some good while doing your online shopping. Two that I use a lot are Amazon Smile. So any Amazon purchase can go through Amazon Smile, and goodshop.com. And so any nonprofit organization that you wish to contribute to, you can go through those sites and your purchase makes a contribution.
Oh, nice.
It's really
So
great.
charitable. It can be charitable.
Absolutely. And one more important benefit to shopping at this time of year is for those who have maybe procrastinated a little bit and not done their holiday shopping yet, you should know about Free Shipping Day. Free Shipping Day this year is December 18th. And last year, more than 1,400 retailers participated in this. And if you go through freeshippingday.com and shop through those retailers, you get no charge for shipping for purchases made on that day, and shipping delivered by Christmas Eve.
Sounds like you're all prepared.
I am all prepared to spend lots of money this holiday season.
Great. Okay. So what are some of the dangers of cyber shopping, and how can we protect ourselves?
Absolutely. Well, just like with shopping in a traditional store, you want to protect your financial information and your personal information. In the same way that you wouldn't go flashing around a lot of cash if you were shopping in a traditional store, you don't want to be sharing too much personal information online. The most important thing you can do is be sure that the internet connection is secure. So what you'll see in the web browser is HTTPS instead of just HTTP, and a little lock logo. So don't purchase anything through an online website that does not have that secure layer of encryption. It's
HTTPS.
HTTPS and the small lock logo.
Okay.
Will make such a difference. Typically you won't see it until you actually hit on the shopping cart section of the website. So don't enter your credit card information until you see that HTTPS. I mentioned credit card. That's another great way of protecting yourselves. Using a credit card instead of a debit card or any other form of payment is the best way of protecting yourself against fraud. Credit cards have more fraud protection than any other form of payment. And so if your card information is stolen or mishandled, you are protected against fraud by using a credit card.
Nice.
Some credit card companies also offer virtual card numbers, which basically means that it's a new credit card number for every single transaction. So if the card number information is taken, then you're safe because it's a one-time use number. Use familiar, reputable sellers. That's very key. You don't want to use some site that you've never heard of because you don't know that that's not a scam site that was just set up to take your money.
Joe's Jewelry.
Exactly. No, if there is a Joe's Jewelry out there, we don't want to be to be harming them. But
Right.
but use sites that you're familiar with, whether they're local stores or national chains. Make sure that it is a familiar site. When you are creating login information, just as with any site, create a strong password. Don't use your name or your birth date or anything that people could easily figure out. Review the company's return policy. With online shopping, that is particularly important because you don't have a chance to try on the item or make sure that it's the exact right thing for you. You're not seeing it except on your computer monitor. So make sure that the store you're shopping from has a reasonable return policy and that you're able to return or exchange any items that don't work. Another important safety element is not to cyber shop in public places. You don't want to be shopping using an unsecure Wi-Fi network in a coffee shop, for example, or using a public computer in a library just to protect your information. You don't want somebody looking over your shoulder as you're typing in your credit card information. Check your credit card statements regularly. One thing I like to do is keep one credit card that I only use for online shopping. And that way, if there are any discrepancies in what I'm expecting to see on that, I can identify it quickly and know to do some investigation and follow up.
So the same credit card?
Same credit card, and only use it for online shopping.
Okay, so you would not
I don't
go to the
use
store
it,
and use that credit card?
I don't use it any other time except for online shopping. So, and be wary of any emails requesting your information. Even if it looks to be from a store that you've shopped at recently online, don't click on any links that you get from an email. That could be what's called phishing for your information and taking you to a site that's not really that store site. So if you do get an email from a company that you have done some online shopping with, the best thing to do is don't click on the link through the email. Instead, go back and enter that company name in your web browser and go to the site that way and follow up with any requests or additional information that they need in that way. There are some other great websites for safe shopping tips that we don't have time to discuss today, but the best one to take a look at is onguardonline.gov. So if anybody has any questions or concerns about safely shopping online, onguardonline.gov is a great resource.
Okay. So do you have any other tips for shoppers that are considering, especially first-time cyber shoppers, people that maybe it's the first time, well, not just first time, but tips?
Well, a couple of important things to think about. Online shopping is not just for gifts and not just for holiday items. Some grocery stores, for example, offer online shopping and delivery of your groceries. So for people who don't want to get out in the cold weather and drive in the snow and ice, or for people who don't drive at all anymore, having groceries delivered to their home and shopping for that online is a very simple way of making sure that you get what you need from your local grocers. A tip to potentially save some money is to let items linger in your cart. If you're considering buying something online, set up an account, put the item in your cart, and then walk away. Metaphorically, you're at your computer, but don't purchase it immediately, because sometimes what you'll get is within a day or so, you'll get an email from that company saying, "We noticed you still have items in your cart. If you buy them now, we'll give you free shipping or a small discount." So you can really work their system by letting those items sit in your cart and getting that extra push. Not every retailer does it, and not every time, but it's certainly worth giving a try.
I'm guessing a lot of people probably don't even know about that.
No, it's a great additional benefit that you sometimes get. Something else that's really important, and it's a little bit more advanced technologically, but it is a great way to save money. Clear your browser cache and your cookies before going to an online site. Some sites, including some of the larger retailers, will do what they call price adjustments is really the simplest way to describe it, based on your previous online purchases and your shopping habits. And so they know the kind of price you're willing to pay, and sometimes they'll bump the prices up for that. So you can get rid of that history by clearing your browser cache and clearing your cookies.
Nice. Well, thank you so much, Jennifer. Today my guest has been my wife, Jennifer White. And I'm Tom White, and remember, it's never too late to live and learn.
Here she comes, Granny Kate. She's on the move 'cause she can't be late. Everybody grab a friend. The show wagon comes from a bend. Clippity-clap, Kate is shouting giddy-up. Riding in with Old Flesh Tea, Reggie too, and you and me. Hurry up now, we can't wait. Here she comes, Calamity Kate. Calamity Kate!
I'm Harlan Johnson. My guest needs no introduction to this crowd, but Lita Powell Drake, who was Calamity Kate. It's good to have you on the Live and Learn show. Now, 50 years ago, you were in Calamity Kate, and you still fit in the outfit.
I am still in the Calamity Kate outfit. Harlan, though, I hate to say this, it doesn't fit. I mean, I can get into it, but I cannot breathe, I cannot digest, and the blood doesn't flow to my legs. So if I just go, then you'll know. So it really doesn't fit, but I'm giving my all.
You've always been a person that's taken on challenges. I remember you started bowling, you started horseshoe pitching, you took up golf, and now you've taken up writing a book, The Calamities of Calamity Kate.
Well, the thing is, these stories had never been told. And it was tough to try to go back and capture these. And since so many people, we have lost so many people who were employees at 1011, they're gone, and the people who aren't gone can't remember. So I said, well, I guess I'm going to have to do it. So I did it. So I wrote the stories that I could remember.
So that's what inspired you to write this book, huh?
Yes, right.
Okay, well now, I know that you must have had a whole file cabinet full of memorabilia and stuff, letters, pictures.
I wish you could say it was a nice file cabinet, because that would indicate that it was in order. I had no idea that I was going to write a book. And all I had done was just save some interesting things, little memorabilia. And they were just in all boxes, and I threw them in the garage, and I didn't pay any attention to them at all. And it wasn't really until I thought, this story has never been told. And so I began to then go through the piles and piles of stuff that I know you have up in your attic or in your garage or in your basement. And so my filing system was by the pile method.
Okay, now,
which I don't recommend.
When you've said that, I'm going to do it, how long did it take you to write this book?
4 years.
4 years?
4 years.
4 years.
Yes.
So if somebody's thinking about writing a book,
you better start now. I mean, start today.
All right, that's good advice. That's good advice. Now, what was the hardest part of doing the research here?
Well, because a lot of people were dead. They didn't help me at all. That's one of the problems. And what I really noticed is young girls who were on juvenile theater and Cartoon Corral and Romper Room, most of whom married, their names changed. I couldn't find them. I couldn't find them. That was one of the hardest part, and a real learning experience for me. So that was the most difficult. And trying to remember, these are real people. If this were a novel, I could have made things up. But I'm talking about real people. I got to spell their names correctly. I've got to get the dates right. That's what was taking so long.
Well, now, did you actually have then in your filing system?
That wasn't a system.
Letters that these people had sent to you?
Some of the kids.
Some of the
kids.
And
I had just saved cute ones that I thought were kind of cute. I wish I had saved everything, but I didn't. I just, so I went through my piles and said, that was darling. Those were the stories that I put in the book.
Okay, all right. And
can I give you one example?
All right, give me one. Yeah.
Okay. This young man, well, he's probably 50 now. He was about 5 then. Michael Hemmett is his name, and he lives in Lincoln, and I'll just tell the story. It's called The Tape Recorder Story. Oh, his 2 older sisters and he were on the show. Now remember, this is live television. And I came to the older sister first, and I said, what do you want for your birthday? And she said, I want a tape recorder. So I turned to the second girl and I said, and what do you want? And she said, I want a tape recorder. Now Michael Hemmett, who is writing the story, he's the young boy, and he thought, both of my sisters said they want a tape recorder. Well, I better say that too. So when Calamity came to him, and I said, what do you want for your birthday? He said, I want a tape recorder too. And I said, you all want tape recorders? What are you going to record? And he said, we're going to put it under my mom and dad's bed and record them while they're kissing at night. That's a sample.
Okay, yeah, there you go.
Isn't that darling?
Yeah. Now, with your title of being Calamity Kate, you had the opportunity of being a television, I'll say it, a television star. You had an opportunity to meet a lot of famous people.
And that was very important. For example, Captain Kangaroo. I got invited to the first CBS Television Children's Workshop. And this was very important because I was able to meet my contemporaries, people locally who were doing their own kids show.
From all over the country.
And Captain Kangaroo, Bob Keeshan is his name, was very concerned about what was happening to children's television. They were beginning to cancel shows all over the country. So he invited us. On the lower left side is Mr. Wonder. There's Skipper Chuck from WTMJ in Miami, Captain Kangaroo, and Calamity Kate.
And of course, Calamity Kate.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Hey,
So-
you look just the same, right there.
Right.
Well, now, were you involved with the Jerry Lewis?
Oh yes, we raised funds for muscular dystrophy. Remember Jerry Lewis and the telethon in Las Vegas for so many years. And so again, the people who were raising money on their kids shows were invited every year. We went to wherever Jerry Lewis was holding it, and it was wonderful because the scientists would come there and tell us about what's happening with regard to muscular dystrophy, and we were learning from the other children's hosts about how to more effectively raise money to give to Jerry Lewis for the telethon that would come in September, that the network.
And of course, that telethon went for years, and,
Yeah,
and Jerry was very much involved
Yeah.
with that for the number of years,
Yeah.
almost clear up to the end. All right, now, other people that were involved with your involvement on television, people that were on your set. Now, other children's shows that you were involved with?
Oh, yes. As a matter of fact, well, I think we've got a picture to give you an idea of what that will be. I wasn't involved exactly with Romper Room, but that followed Cartoon Corral. And there were 7 Romper Room teachers through the course of time. Only one of them has passed on. Donna Fro Hart-Gailey is no longer with us, but her name was Miss Ann. Actually, her name is Brianna Buteau Benjamin, but the kids couldn't pronounce Brianna. So it's Miss Ann. And remember the magic mirror? Magic mirror, tell me today. No, let's see. Romper, bumper, stomper, boo. Tell me, tell me, tell me, do. Magic mirror, tell me today. Have all my friends had fun at play? I see Zoe, and I see Jamie, and I see Bill, and I see Brad and Bo, and I see Harlan in the magic mirror.
Well, you know, I found your book to be an easy read, and so I'd recommend people reminisce a little bit about the good old days of the Romper Room. Is your book in the library?
Oh, that touches my heart. It is in the Lincoln City Libraries and in the Heritage Room, and to have my book there, I think of my librarian when I was a little kid. In elementary school, we had a little library, and I was a noisy child, and I've grown up to be a noisy
I can't
adult.
imagine that.
And so I'm running around, and Miss Alice McClymans was Marian, Latta, my Barian, and she'd come up to me and shh, Lita, shh, you know, and she said, Kier, come with me. She was trying to quiet me down, and she took me over to the children's section, and she said, I want you to take this, you can take this home. And it was the Grimm's fairy tale. She started me on that. And if you have any questions, I'm here to work with you. Miss Alice McClymans was the one who introduced me, and as I finished that book, I started on The Call of the Wild and all of the Walter T. Farley books, the Black Stallion Returns, Son of the Black Stallion, and I owe it all to her for I think I've never been a writer, but I've been a reader all my life because of the library. And that picture you just saw was Calamity Kate reading to the children in the Lincoln City Libraries back in 1961 or 62. And we had a wonderful turnout in all the city libraries. That was great.
Now, you've had a lot of publicity, the Lincoln Journal, September 8th, September 14th, articles about you and the book coming out. Where can I buy a copy of the book?
Well, first of all, they're free in the Lincoln City Libraries.
Okay.
But then, if you don't live close, you can go to the Barnes & Noble stores at 52nd No Street or in South Point, or they're on Amazon.com.
All right. Well, Lita, you've had some good publicity about, and I'm sure people have been kind of marveled at the fact that, hey, there's something about me being on Cartoon Corral back in the days, and find their name in the book.
Harlan, it was a big deal to be on television at that time. People drove in from North Platte. Their family would come in to have their 5 minutes of fame. And so it was memorable. And what surprises me is when people come up to me today, they remember what went on. They remember what they said. And then I would say to them, why didn't you let me know before so I could have included that in the book? Hindsight is 100%.
Yeah, now that the book's out.
Yeah, right. I think of all
the
errors I made. You know, I misspelled names. That was so hard. I misspelled names. I got some dates wrong. You know. Well, I'll have to write a sequel, right?
Oh, hey, there you go. Okay. Well, you know, there's an article in the Living Well magazine about Calamity Kate and her involvement as one of the hosts on the Live and Learn show. And so, hey, it's been a fun, it's fun to read the book. And it's been fun having you on the Live and Learn show. So,
Harlan, you and I go back so far, and especially with your swimming and the pool named after you out at the
your son
Northeast.
was involved with a swim program. Well,
yeah,
remember,
all friends, it's really great.
Remember, it's never too late to live and learn and write a book.
A walk down memory lane would not be complete without music. I'm Kristen Stowes, and I think you would agree, music tends to make us very nostalgic. Although digital music is the current rage, there continues to be a market for vinyl, and it is growing. My guests will confirm that as I welcome Stuart Kolnick, owner of Recycled Sounds, and Nicole Schaefer, a vinyl record enthusiast. Wonderful to have you here today.
Thank you, Kristen.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Stuart, you have owned a record store in Lincoln since the early 1990s. Have you seen an increased interest in vinyl in that period of time?
Oh, definitely. There was an interest back in the 90s, and then it kind of trailed off as we got closer to the year 2000. And now there seems to be a greater interest, and the crowd is either very young and middle-aged and even older.
Okay. And what has the CD market done during that same period of time?
Oh, during that same time, the market's gone to about half of the previous sales, because now a lot of the sales have turned into digital sales. So you don't need to own the CD at all anymore.
Mm-hmm. So that has affected the CD market much more, obviously.
Yes.
Uh-huh. And so you said besides collectors, your listeners that are coming in to purchase albums, what would be a typical
There really
buyer?
isn't a typical buyer anymore. They might be a 12-year-old buying their first record. It might be somebody who's just inherited their parents' collection and now they want to fill in those gaps.
So it truly is influencing the younger crowd. And we have guest Nicole Schaefer, and I happened to meet you in Stuart's store. You came in, were you looking for something specific, or were you just browsing that day?
I was specifically looking for a Beatles album. I've been a fan since I was 14, so I'm trying to kind of fulfill my dream of owning all the Beatles records.
Really? Mm-hmm. Wow. How many do you have now then?
I think now I have 6 of 13. So.
All right. That's wonderful. So you did come away with a Beatles album.
Yes.
You obviously enjoy listening to music on vinyl.
Mm-hmm.
What has brought you to that form of music enjoyment?
Well, I guess just listening to my parents' records growing up, looking at the album covers when I was a little girl, it just really brought back a feeling of, innocence and nostalgia. And it has, vinyls have a different sound. It's a little bit warmer. It's not such a digital cold sound.
That's an important distinction, I think, that you make. Do you have a group of friends that also enjoys listening to vinyl, or do you purchase these just for your own enjoyment?
Mostly just for myself. I have friends that listen to the Beatles and similar groups, but I'm the only one that actually collects vinyls.
Okay, well, maybe you can start influencing your friends.
Yeah, definitely.
I think so. Stuart, there definitely are differences to listening to music on a vinyl record as opposed to digitally. can we talk about a few of those and why that in and of itself is bringing newer, younger listeners in?
Well, the biggest point just is the matter of the fact that it's a warmer, smoother, natural, much friendlier feeling. It's something that you actually have to listen to. You are actually listening as opposed to just playing it. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit more of a totally interactive situation. You're looking at the cover, you're reading the lyrics, and oftentimes now you're sitting around with your friends and playing things that they either own or don't own or might want to own later.
Okay, so definitely a more active than passive and more social, as you said.
Yeah, amazingly, it is a much more social, the most social. There are a lot of clubs and a lot of the college-age students that do actually have record players are sitting down and listening with their friends.
Okay, and I think the nostalgia comes into play because you can honestly think back and remember where you purchased an album. At least I can remember where I was purchasing my Beatles albums in the 60s, whereas I can't really tell you what I downloaded last week.
Right.
So that's where the nostalgia part comes in as well. What has the effect been of consumers being able to go online and being able to download only one song at a time rather than purchasing a whole album?
Well, the main thing is on the new ones, we're starting to get back into that early 60s mentality of the single again. So you just like the one song, you're not worried about it, where a lot of the records in the 60s and 70s and even the 50s, they were made to be a whole experience. They were in a particular order, they were on a particular record, they gave you a particular feeling, and you went through that whole thing each time that you bought a record.
And Nicole, I remember one quick comment that you made when we were in the store. You said the album tells the whole story.
Yeah, it does. I think especially in the 60s, artists with their albums were starting to tell a story. For instance, with the Sgt. Pepper album by the Beatles, it really was a story that they were telling, and they kind of started that trend.
I like that. So we're kind of shortchanging ourselves if we just download maybe one selection out of an album. Well, Stuart, let's start looking at some of your record albums that you brought today. The first, there's Satanic Majesty's Request by the Rolling Stone. Tell us about this particular cover.
Well, this one was kind of their version of the when the Beatles were doing Sgt. Pepper's, and the first printing of it has a 3D cover. And there are a number of different little symbols in it, and if you look around the record, there's all sorts of different details on it, including the fact that actually all four of the Beatles are in that picture. You just have to know where to look around the band.
Oh, interesting.
And it was what they were going through at the time, and it's just a great album.
And here's another version of that album.
And then this is the Beatles, and you can kind of see on the record some of the things that were in it that definitely influenced what the Rolling Stones put on their cover. It was the same kind of thing, the same kind of era. They were always trying to compete, and there was the crowd that was into the Beatles, and then there was the crowd that was into the Rolling Stones.
Well, the competition definitely comes through that, I think. All right, older albums are being remade, and we have the Yellow Submarine. Please show that.
Yeah, this is the Yellow Submarine soundtrack, and it's actually new, and it's on yellow vinyl, and it was the songs. This actually came out as more of a, only had 6 songs on it. When they decided that it was time to reissue it after 30 years, they went ahead and put some more other classic Beatle tracks on it. This was actually the first time that it ever existed as a full album in America, and that is much closer to what you're used to, and that actually only had a number of songs on it. One whole side was all instrumental. So on the new one, you actually get more music than what you actually would have bought if you would have bought it new back in the 60s.
Interesting, interesting. What is one of the most sought after albums?
Well, there are a number of big ones, but for someone who would be a Beatle fan, it's definitely this one. This is the Yesterday and Today album, and it's known as the Butcher cover. And most of these were changed and they were recovered and or they were thrown away. This one in particular was sent to somebody who was the head of a fan club, and then they got a letter that said, we don't like the cover, there's been a lot of reaction to it, and we've decided we're not going to use it anymore.
Really?
So please send it back or throw it away. This one didn't get thrown away.
Oh, goodness. I've never seen that one. Then we have a collection of 3 Beatles albums that are very similar and yet very different, and I'd like to have you explain that.
Well, these are 2 different versions of introducing the Beatles, and this was the record that actually came out about 2 weeks before the first Beatle record ever was issued in America in 1964. They had the license. It had been available in Europe for a few months before, but Capitol didn't want to do anything with it in America, so they decided they would hold on. The difference between these 2 is that the one on the right that has the shadow is actually an original cover with the original record, and the one on the left is actually, this is known as one of the most counterfeited records. There are hundreds of different versions and lots and lots and lots and lots of counterfeits. And both of these represent the same music that was actually on this particular record. This is the Please Please Me. Came out in England probably fall of 1963. All of these songs are on the other Introducing the Beatles records. That's before they released Meet the Beatles in America. But all the European pressings have 2 more songs than the Americans.
Really?
And in fact, that Butcher cover, the reason that they did that cover and they liked it so much was just the fact that they were kind of mad at the record company for putting that out and cutting off a couple of the songs.
Sure, sure. Very interesting. What genre of music is selling the most at this point?
Well, anymore, rock in all forms, mainly 60s, 70s, even 80s, and a lot of things like punk are among the most popular. And then even more overseas and in America is a genre that they call Northern Soul, which is lots of very obscure records, mostly found in the 70s and 80s, taken over to Europe, and
Really?
And some of that stuff is so obscure I've probably never seen a copy of it, and those records sell for anywhere from $20 to $40 to $1,000 or more for something like that.
My goodness, my goodness. That's amazing. 2 quick tips to pass on to our viewers. The cleaning of a vinyl record. What is the quickest, easiest way to do that?
Well, the best thing to do is just get yourself a record cleaner. And all of the record stores in town do normally carry that kind of stuff. Or buy yourself a little squirt bottle, put in some distilled water, a drop or 2 of isopropyl, and then find a very soft cloth like an old t-shirt and just use that.
And that's not going to hurt it then?
Nope.
All right. And you said that you, as well as the 2 other record shops in Lincoln, do like to talk to collectors if they want to sell their records, and you would perhaps be interested in buying some for your own inventories. Is that true?
Yes.
So that would be a wonderful outlet for our viewers if they're trying to downsize.
Yeah, and with there being 3 of us in town on the kind of north side, the south side, and downtown, you can take it to any of us. We'd all look at them, and we'd be happy to look at your collections.
All right, that's wonderful. Nicole, what is the next album on your wish list?
Well, I have been looking for the Sgt. Pepper album pretty fervently, and I see one right over there, so hopefully Stuart will put that aside for me to purchase.
Well, I maybe he will. I think that would be a wonderful thing. Otherwise, maybe I will see you in the record store again.
Yes, definitely.
This has been a wealth of information. I know that you can talk about records and all of the different bands through the years forever. So I appreciate you focusing on just a few today for us. And I thank you for being with us, Stuart. And Nicole, this has been a wonderful conversation. I've enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hopefully you have all enjoyed our nostalgic musical interlude. And please remember, it's never too late to live and learn.
Golf is a game you can play for the rest of your life. Just ask Dave McNair, who has played on over 1,002 courses all over the world, and some of the finest courses in Nebraska, of course, and all over the world. Welcome, Mr. McNair.
Thank you,
It's such
Lita.
a pleasure to have you here. And you seem to be making a fashion statement. Look at your outfit. And what does this represent, and why have you done this, chose to do this, Dave?
Well, on this journey that I've undertaken with golf, I play with 100-year-old hickory shaft golf clubs, and so I felt like if I was going to play with those clubs, I needed to dress the part also.
But why would you choose this? And the time frame is what, 19?
The clubs are all from between 1908 and 1915, and I just have always had a strong interest in history, and I've always loved the game of golf and the integrity of the game, and it was just natural for the two to kind of go together, and I started playing with the old clubs and fell in love with it.
Well, how did you find the old clothing?
Yeah, that was a challenge at first. However, there's a company now that it's called golfknickers.com that actually makes these available to anybody that would like to have them.
We had the good fortune of watching Dave McNair actually play, and this is at a very special course in Lincoln, out at the Highlands. And so we wanted you to be able to see what he could do with these clubs from 1908 to 1915, I think, and how he actually can demonstrate and show that they still work. So there's hope for all of us. So you can describe what it is that you're doing, Dave.
Sure. Right now, obviously, I'm just on the tee box there, which going through my routine and then hitting the drive there. Now the club itself that I'm hitting there is a driver. This was made by Benny Sayers, who is the club pro at North Berwick, Scotland. Benny actually played in the British Open from 1880 to 1923, every Open. The shaft is hickory shaft. That was they tried a lot of different types of shafts, and that was the best that they came up with. The knickers there you can see, we call them knickers, but they actually called them +4 because there was 4 inches of cloth that would hang over from the side, and they
so they called them
+4s. Exactly. And then the hat is it was made popular back in the late 1800s and early 1900s by the newsboys, and it's called a newsboy cap. Now on
you
the
have
green,
an unusual grip.
I do. I use a cross-handed grip, and really like that. And it doesn't always work that well that the ball drops in the cup, but
and these are two different shots.
Two different
and even
lengths.
at that distance, with that old club, he's able to put it right in the pocket. I just couldn't believe it.
Yep.
Now look at the form there. All right, so you see where his left foot and his right foot is, the proper form. Now, I have to admit, that ball out at the Highlands went all the way up to the top of the hill and beyond on hole number 1, which just took my breath away, because if I can make it to the fairway, I'm thrilled. And so how can you have the power that you have with those old clubs and to get it to go that distance?
Well, I think a lot of it's just routine. Lita, you just have that swing rhythm as you go through it, and if you hit it in the sweet spot, it's going to carry, and it'll go that far.
Well, you got the thing is, when he actually hit those balls, which was just amazing. I saw it go, and then I lost it. He said, "Well, I'll hit another one." So then he hit another one in beautiful form, and it went way up the top of the hill. So then we took the cart and went to the top of the hill. One was further than the other, and they were both right in the middle of the fairway, way at the top of the hill. And I said, how do you do it with those old clubs? Because now think about the technology of today.
Yeah, well, first of all, they all don't finish in the middle of the fairway. I wish they all did.
Well, yours
but they all don't normally do, but it's nice when they do. Second, with the old clubs, you know, like I said earlier, that sweet spot is so small, and so you have to. It relies a lot on the swing. You know, whether you're, you know, modern clubs are more forgiving, and you're able to sometimes get away with a swing that's not real good, and so these you have to. The swing is so important. Now, the course has a little bit to do with it too, Lita. You mentioned Highlands being a special course. That's where, in my 50 years of golf, I've shot the best round of my life at the Highlands. When they hosted the Cornhusker games a few years back.
Now, you've been teaching golf too. You're from Columbus, Nebraska.
Yep.
And you taught high school golf?
I taught for 7 years back in the 1980s and coached high school golf when I was teaching, 1 year in Alma and then 6 years out in Mitchell, Nebraska. And just thoroughly enjoyed working with the youngsters and helping them get started in what could be a lifelong experience for them.
But you didn't have them with these old
No,
clubs, did you?
I
They had
didn't.
all the new technology.
Exactly.
Well, would you describe some of these clubs and this old bag? Now, this old bag dates to when, Dave?
The bag isn't as old as the clubs, obviously.
It weighs a ton, let me tell you.
I have some old bags in my collection, but they wouldn't hold up to the wear and tear. But these, I was showing you earlier the driver online and when we were watching the video. But what you'll see with these clubs is that they, all of the irons were made by the club maker by the name of Tom Stewart. He was the club maker at St. Andrews, and it was the same gentleman that made Bobby Jones's clubs. They didn't start making sets until 1925, but I put a set together where all of my irons were made by the same club maker.
Well, where are you finding these?
I have a good friend of mine that's really helped me put this set together. His name's Randy Jensen, and Randy used to own Classic Golf in Omaha and is one of the leading dealers worldwide with antique golf clubs, and has really helped me put a very nice collection together with what I play with. Another thing that's kind of unusual is the grip that we use on these. What I use is this is buffalo hide with the rough side out, and then we add a little bit of pine tar that gives it a little bit of tact to it, but really makes it nice to hit
I
with.
was just looking at some of these clubs, and I've never seen any club that looks like this. What on earth is that used
Looks
for?
like you
What
could
is
fry
that?
an egg on this, doesn't
But
it?
yes.
You know, when you hold this flat down at the ground, it's just flat. This is what they called a mammoth niblick.
And what does a niblick mean?
Niblick would be the name of like a wedge, what we call a wedge today, but
That's
and all the clubs are
That's
named.
going to lift the ball?
It really is, and what happened back in the late 1800s and early 1900s is club makers were doing the same thing they are today. They were trying to find an edge, something that could make the ball do things that they hadn't done before, and they felt like this mammoth niblick gave them an opportunity to really bring that club up in the air.
Now, you've played golf courses all over the world, have you not?
I have. I've, as you mentioned earlier, I've played over 1,000 different golf courses. I've played every course in the state of Nebraska, public, private, grass green, sand green. First course I ever played was a sand green course.
You must be rich.
No. And I've played in all 50 states.
Which is your favorite course of all? Look at this gorgeous place. Look at that. Isn't that wonderful?
That
and
was
look
actually,
at his swing. Look at his back swing and his position.
That one is actually at Ross Bridge, which is down just outside of Birmingham, Alabama. And beautiful course. It's on the Robert Trent Jones Trail. But probably my favorite course would be either the Sand Hills right here in Nebraska,
Really?
or possibly Pebble Beach.
Do you ever use any of the new golf technology? No.
I've used these clubs only for the last 15 years. And for 5 years prior to that, I mixed the modern clubs and these, kind of went back and forth. And it was just too hard to go back and forth. And I needed to pick one or the other. And it was very easy. I told my wife, Cindy, I said, you know, it's an easy choice. I have so much fun playing with the old clubs that's what I want to do.
Well, speaking of old clubs, many of our viewers, this is Live and Learn by Aging Partners, are old. Can you have some encouragement for them? People who have given up or who have never tried it?
You know, the first thing I would say is that it's never too late to
to live and learn to play golf.
to play golf. It's never too late to play golf, and it is something that you can play most of your life, and that's what makes it really enjoyable. You need to just have the expectations that you're just going out there for fun. You're not competing with anybody else. You're just out there to enjoy the round. When I play, I just compete with the course. I just try to take each hole one at a time and look at that challenge and try to win that challenge.
Well, we have a junior golf course here, the Ager Junior Golf Course, and we're trying to encourage seniors to come out and learn to play golf because it's a simple course. Well, I mean, there's some little tricky things about it, but it's a great place to learn. It's only 9 holes. It's a good walk, so it's good, good for your health, and it's very inexpensive, very, very reasonable. So the Ager Junior Golf Course, and especially in as soon as the snow melts,
sure,
to come out there and start. So
that is a great course. I really enjoyed it.
I'm just amazed at what you have done, and your interest in this period around the turn of the last century is fascinating. And let assure you, this guy can hit the ball, and it goes where he wants it to, and I'm so jealous. Thank you, Dave McNair. What a delight to meet you. And remember, folks, it's never too late to learn to play golf.